Welcome to Irons United and yet another transfer window special. It's old news by now. You've heard throughout the whole day that West Ham United have made two transfer offers. The first one to Maxi for Maxi Gomez, and the second one for Joan. It's no secret that West Ham have been on after Maxi Gomez for quite some time. Since January, we've done a couple of videos on him already at Irons United, so I'm not really going to go over all the details again. It's the worst kept secret, West Ham United's transfer window deals this summer. It looks like now West Ham have got the go ahead, or Huselos and Pellegrini have got the go ahead to just get this deal done. Now the rumour is that the offer is something like £29 million. Heard just recently that it could be more like 25 million. I don't know if that's going to be enough, but my original understanding is that Celta Vigo have agreed to the offer of 29 million, which matches the offer that's been made by Valencia as well. Now, apparently it's down to Maxi Gomez which of the two teams he wants to choose. There is Valencia can offer Maxi Gomez some sort of Champions League qualifier play, which might tempt him. You know, he's already established in Spain, so you know he doesn't have to move. So that might be something that might be in Valencia's favour. But I guess maybe the lure of Premier League football might be a big one for Maxi Gomez, especially in salaries. I mean, we're likely to offer him something like £100,000 a week, which I'm sure Valencia can't match. And even though we can't offer him European football now, who knows? You know, if everything goes our way with the types of transfers that we're looking at, you know, we've now confirmed Fornals. We're looking at more deals coming our way. Maxi Gomez, you know, Jordan, etc. You know, we could be building a really decent squad that there's no reason why, on paper, we shouldn't be sort of pushing for European football for next the season after next. So there is a law in terms of money, in terms of the long-term strategy that Pellegrini wants to legacy that Pellegrini wants to bring to West Ham. So that might tempt Maxi Gomez in its own right. So we won't bother with that too much. I mean, you know, we know his skill, we know his stats. 30 goals and 9 assists in over 2 seasons for Celta Vigo, you know, so they speak for themselves. So fingers crossed. Let's see what happens in the coming days. I want to concentrate on Jordan. You know, about a week or so ago, I did a video on a couple of other targets that West Ham were looking at, and his name cropped up. And I was really dismissive. I suggested, well, why would we bother with this player? It didn't seem to me that he would really offer the team very much. And, you know, I said, you know, for 13 million, he's playing for a mid-table team. Why would we be looking at someone like him? And I was really sort of like, I literally spent just no more than a minute or so talking about him. And now that this offer has been put in of 13 million, I thought, well, perhaps I need to look at some more details and some more in-depth information about the player. So this is what I found. He's an Espanyol Youth Academy product. His career really got going 2 seasons ago when he joined Eibar. He's 24 years old, 6 foot tall central midfielder. He's played 66 games for Eibar, scoring 9 goals and 8 assists in over 2 seasons. But that isn't the full story about him. He's not primarily a holding midfielder. He's not a defensive midfielder. He's more in the mould of Mark Noble. So he plays around that middle of the pitch, but he's not primarily there to do a defensive midfielder role or attacking midfielder role. He's in between the two. His strengths are good long shots. Good at taking set pieces, good at free kicks, good dribbler, but his weaknesses are his finishing and his tackling, ironically. So it seems that he will be in direct competition with Mark Noble for a position in the middle of the park. But he's got a bit more to offer than just the nine goals and assists that he's made. His his pass success rate is 83.2%. That's pretty impressive. He's created over 40 chances for Celta Vigo, putting him in the same bracket as the likes of Luka Modric. He's created the fifth highest number of chances in La Liga, which is pretty impressive. Now, I've said he's not a great tackler, but he's still made over 40 tackles in total, 11 interceptions and 14 blocks. So he is a bit of an all-rounder. So I kind of, I take back my dismissiveness of him when I did the video the other day, and having looked at his details and having looked at his stats, I think this is a player that's a very, very, very interesting. And at £13 million, we've been talking about a lot of defensive midfielders and spending a lot of money on them. We're talking about Andres Gomez, a few weeks ago, that is now likely to go to Everton, and we're all kind of disappointed that he wasn't going to come to us, and he was coming for 25 million pounds. So at 13 million, for a player of the quality that Joan Jordan is offering, sounds like a bit of a bargain. And there was an analysis done in La Liga for the 5 most promising players, or the most up-and-coming players in La Liga, and Joan Jordan appeared in that, which is again no mean feat, and he appeared alongside other players like Pablo Sarabia of Seville, or Iglesias, a striker at Espanyol, Bartra of Real Betis. So he's in good company. He's a player that is clearly on the up, is clearly going to be sought after, again at the right age, clearly going to be sought after. If we get a deal in for him, similar to the likes of what we've done with Fornals, maybe a 4 or 5 year deal, come the end of that deal, he'll still be a player in his 20s who'll still be of great value to West Ham, or to sell on even. So I'm liking what Huselos is doing. I'm liking the approach that he's taking with players, the players that he's going for. And my apologies for having been so dismissive of Joan Jordan in the first place, and now I'm kind of sold on him, and he will be a very, very interesting acquisition to make. So there's a lot of Spanish feel to the team, and it's no surprise, with Pellegrini having managed in Spain, with Huselos knowing the scouting system in Spain. So it's no surprise that we're going after players in that league, and the type of players that we're going for: young, hungry, at the right age, and it's exciting times. So if it comes off, he'll clearly be in direct competition with Mark Noble for that spot, probably Jack Wilshere as well. Possibly, to sort of take turns in defensive midfield for if Rice is injured, or to replace Rice, to bring another different dimension to the team. I'm not talking about replacing Rice completely, people. Don't misunderstand me. But it's just that it offers another dimension to the midfield berth, and it's one area we've all got to admit that we kind of struggled in last season. Some teams overran us in midfield last season, and we just didn't show enough quality. We kind of relying on Wilshere, who got injured. Obiang was playing hot and cold, and it's a shame because I thought Obiang was going to be a quality player, but it just hasn't happened for him. And as we know, Mark Noble, he gives his all, but his legs aren't what they were. But last season he had a pretty good season. But how much more can we rely on Mark Noble? How many more seasons can we rely on him? So having a player like Joan Jordan being looked at is very interesting indeed. So let's see what happens. I'm sure there'll be more gossip, more news, more transfer information coming our way over the next day or so. It seems that the weekend doesn't seem to stop that in any way. So let's see what happens. And yet again, come on, you Irons.